Welcome to Mr. R's art class. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Thumbs, subs, and ring that bell. So in this video here, we're going to learn how to do stippling and scribbling. So this top one here would be stippling. And this bottom one down here could be scribbling. And I'm using a permanent marker so that you're able to actually see some of the details I'm going to add in here. And for stippling is just going to be some dots here. And so that's why I'm using a marker so you're actually able to see some of these dots, but you're going to be using a pencil. So for these value scales, you have to make sure that the rectangles are all the way to the right are the darkest, and they'll get lighter as you move towards the left. And so I suggest that you move, or you begin with the darkest one, and then you move towards the left. Okay, so with this first rectangle, it would be as dark as you could go, and you're going to be adding as many dots as possible that are layered on top of each other. So before you begin this, make sure that you have a value scale that is using and that has several rectangles on the bottom and rectangles on the top. For this one, you're not going to do a gradient value scale. You're just going to do this value scale that has these different rectangles for each and every different value. So this first rectangle all the way to the right will be as dark as you could go. And so as dark as you could go, that means that a lot of these spaces here would be filled in, and that this next rectangle will be a little bit lighter. Okay, so this one would have the most amount of stippling in it, the most amount of dots with your pencil, and then this rectangle should have less dots than that one. This one should have less than that. This one should have less than that, so that by the time you go all the way to the left, it should be white. Right, so this one should be black, so that a lot of these white spots that you have of the paper should be pretty much filled in. And then this one would have less dots. So the way that you can make something lighter is by having less dots or by spreading out the stippling itself. So if I spread this out, it looks lighter than this one here. Whereas you have these dots that are closer together, and a lot of these dots and a lot of the stippling starts to darken up because some of these dots are closer together. Right, so values created in this accent, and as right, so values created by spacing out these dots, spacing out the stippling, and by not having as much stippling as the previous value. Right, so this one looks a little bit lighter than that one because this one has less dots, and some of these dots are spread out more than this first value. So then this one would have a little bit less, and some of these dots would be more spread out. Right, so you would continue that all the way down to the left here. So this one should be the darkest. This value should have the most amount of space filled in with the stippling. Some of these dots and some of the stippling should actually overlap to make it look a lot darker here. So I'm just showing you an example, but this one should be pretty much filled in with dots with very little white space showing through. So you would continue that process all the way through to this whole value scale. So by the time you get all the way to the left here, this space here, this value here should be white, or it should have the few amount of dots here compared to all these other values for this value scale. So for this bottom part here, it's going to be for scribbling. So this rectangle all the way to the right, you would actually just scribble, but I'm not coloring in. You should have some waves in here or some swirls, and you're coloring it in, and it could be randomized. Right, so you're filling in this space here, but I'm not coloring, right? I created that whole value with just scribbling. Right, and try to randomize it. So again, values created when I have some of these lines closer together, when I have these overlapping waves, and scribble marks when they overlap, that creates a value. So this value all the way to the right should be darker. This next value should be a little bit lighter than that one. And again, values created when I have space between my lines when it's spaced out and when there's less overlapping. And then try to randomize some of this scribbling here. Alright, so you're not just coloring straight up and down vertically or horizontally, you're actually creating a scribble motion here. So again, you would fill out this whole value scale going from the right to the left. That'd probably be one of the easiest ways to do it, is start from the darkest and then lighten up some of these spaces here by spacing out some of the scribbles for the scribbling value scale, space out some of the stippling for the stippling value scale, and don't overlap as much. The more you overlap, the darker it gets. The closer that some of these dots and the closer that some of the scribbling is, the darker it will get. So if you have any questions, go ahead and let me know. Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And feel free to watch any of the other related videos.